Welcome to week 5 of the mini cut series. So where are we? Well, currently sitting £2.6 down on my weekly loss, putting me about £186 on average, which is pretty much exactly where I want to be. Just so you're aware, in the background here you will see a full lower body session, and in a little while there will be a view of what the entire session looks like. But here we are, starting with calves. Start with a weakness, get them out of the way, and don't allow that weakness to be a weakness anymore on that one. But in terms of the mini cut, things are going well. Things are still feeling comfortable. I've still got a decent level of flexibility with my food. And last week, I say last week because I always record these normally on a Tuesday and talk about the week before. So last week, or week 5, Tuesday and Wednesday, that's Wednesday and Thursday, I saw quite a big, well, initially Wednesday, I saw a big drop in my scale weight. And like everybody, I'm more than aware that we've got a decent amount of fluctuation on scale weight, and it's not always the complete guide. And obviously I do use a lot of averages. I do look at my highs and my lows from week to week, my averages over the week. But on the Wednesday, I was actually £5 down under my previous weekly average, which to me was just a sign that things were potentially just not going in the right direction and just digging into too much of a deficit. So on that day, I chose to refeed, and that there was late pancake day. So I hit macros on that day with a high carb and pretty low fat, and then had a beast of a pancake topped with golden syrups, chocolate syrups, marshmallow. So I picked everything that was highly sugary and carb based for that pancake. So I'm guessing that would have put my day at about maintenance. Weight the following morning had came up a little bit, but it would still kind of put me on, I think, about a £3.5 weekly average loss. So I decided to refeed again, and then after that I did sit roughly where I wanted to be. So because of those big drops, I used my weekly average to kind of gauge my progress. So if I know I'm on point on my average for, say, a £2 loss, I'm going to keep with it. But if I know that I'm getting weigh-ins that are going to make that loss £3-4, then that's just a little bit too aggressive for what I want. So here we go, we've got some hamstring curls here. So you might notice that I've actually performed a calf movement and a hamstring movement before I go into my big compound squat movement. And main reason why I situate the calf movement first is because it is a weakness, and although I think I'm a lot better at focusing on it, I get better performance and better focus on it at the start of the session, and I don't think it really takes away from anything. I'll normally perform my sets whilst still warming up the hips ready for squats. And the hamstring curl, yet again, gets the blood in the legs, gets the hamstrings firing, but also it gives them a bit of a level of pre-fatigue. So does it take away from my squat? Yeah, potentially it does a little bit, but by performing a hamstring movement beforehand, I will notice that I definitely get a bigger emphasis on my quads. My quads actually have to do the work. I'll put it down to being kind of posterior and hip dominant. Probably why I've got a really decent deadlift is just the fact that my hips can take over and I can kind of come up in a bit more of a good morning. Obviously pretty difficult there on a squat, but I do find this, the pre-fatigue of the hamstring is giving me better emphasis on my quads. And here we go, these are like nice strong 142.5 kilo front squats. So very happy with how these have just bumped up recently. 140 kilos was actually my kind of goal for the year, and we're not even 2 months in. We're only 2 months into the year, and I'm already there. So very happy with that, and that is because I'm training with a higher intensity and less sets and less volume. I wouldn't be there if I was having to repeat this for, say, 3 to 4 sets of 8. So still, favouring that higher intensity, lower volume approach. And then this is my drop back set. So by including the hamstring movement before my squat, is it taking away a little bit of performance? Yeah, obviously it's hard to gauge, but yeah, I may be losing maybe a rep, maybe a small percentage of bar weight. But in overall, does it make the movement feel better? Yes. And if there's one thing this session did, this is my lower B session. So if there's one thing this movement did, this setup did, and performing it this way, and the more I've performed it this way, the better these sessions have felt. And this session was just one of those sessions. Yeah, don't get me wrong, I progressed across the board. Nothing crazy, but I did progress across the board, but everything just felt so good. It didn't feel like anything was missed out. And here we are, we're back round to another calf raise. So I very much go calves, hamstrings, quads again. So these are kind of like filling in the gap movements. I really love leg press calf raise. I just feel like there's a lot more intensity on the calf. I feel probably a slightly better contraction, and when it comes to controlling down, I think I get a lot better eccentric. Although, hey, they absolutely kill, and yeah, I think I was in a fair bit of agony at the end of this. I'm pretty sure you will see that. So with the way training is going, things are going really well. Obviously, I have made some changes, but everything's reflecting in a good way. Obviously, there's been another change. I've now got upper and lower A, B, and C variations. So I will just cycle it through. So it'll mean that I'll probably come back to the same workout in probably about 10 days time. And I'm a big fan of strength as a skill, and I believe on the big barbell lifts that's very important. But when it comes to kind of machines, it probably has a lesser effect, and the same as when it's a single joint movement. Yet again, skill probably isn't as big an issue. One thing that I do find though is that providing I've got a barbell squat, if it's a back squat or a front squat, I'm still performing those. So if we just look at my big squat movements, it's barbell squat, front squat, and hack squat are my big quad movements over that 10-day period. And what that results in is, I'm still getting good practice of a good, strong squat pattern. So I don't feel like it's not like I'm not squatting at all in 10 days. So between back squat to back squat, it's not, I haven't not squatted. I've done a lot of squat variations, single leg work, leg press work, hack squat work. I don't feel like the skill of back squatting is being lost. Equally, if you add in some of the heavier pull movements, bracing the core, staying tight, again, I just don't feel like I'm losing that skill. I might have to change this to some of the barbell movements if I feel like skill is an issue, because skill is a component when it comes to heavy barbell lifts. But when it comes to something like this leg press, I haven't performed this movement for a little while, but it felt fine because I've got the strength, I've got the muscle, I know where I'm going, I know what I'm doing, and all I'm doing is exerting maximal force against a machine. It's not like I've not trained legs for 10 days. They are still being trained like every third or fourth day. These got pretty nasty. I'm really favouring single leg movements, and they seem to be responding very well as of late. Seeing some big jumps. So Smith machine bar is about 30 kilos when you include the runners. There's no counter assistance on this, so that's then an additional 60 kilos. This is potentially 90 kilos on one leg. And these are feeling really good. Equally, my other sessions, Bulgarian split squats, are feeling brilliant. Yeah, very tough, these. And I did go in, drop down to 42.5 over the bar. And went for some big crazy 20 rep sets. So if there's one thing I have started to do with lower body, most sessions will see quite a large 20 rep set situated towards the end. This week has been the Smith machine single leg movement, and also the hack squat I took for a big 22 rep set following this lower body session. So in my neck, so in lower C, I went for a crazy hack squat. And it just, I think for the lower body, it does have a big benefit just going to those higher reps. You know, I'm not going light on the weights, these are still decent loads. So here we are, one right leg, one left leg, just as we finish things up. So I hope you found that informative, people. My mini cut is going awesome. If you've got any questions, feel free to comment, and I will happily get back to you just whilst we run through these last 20 rep sets, digging deep, keeping that tension on. And the reason I do this on a machine is you can just keep going. With dumbbells, I'd have lost balance by this point. I wouldn't have been able to keep that focus and intensity. So catch up with you next week. Next week is week 6, which is kind of as long as I'd normally take a mini cut. And then if you've got any questions, drop them below and I will get back to you.